Today I want to talk about zeros and roots and what's the difference between zeros and roots. But before I start talking about zeros and roots, I want to first of all know that you understand what an expression, function, and what an equation is. So let's start with what an expression looks like. So an expression would look like something like this. If I have x cubed plus possibly 2x squared and minus 3x and minus 10. And you can see that this is a cubic expression. There is no equal signs, nothing. It's just an expression. So what is a function? Function can be written such as I write fx is equal to, and then I'll rewrite what I had above over here, 2x squared minus 3x minus 10. Now that function may have been written like the polynomial functions of a p here, which shows you p to the x, which is a polynomial function virtually. Sometimes they like to write polynomial functions. Minus 3x minus 10. Or you may see it written possibly just like y is equal to x cubed. So whenever we see an expression or a function, we know that we have zeros. Zeros basically means that when we find a variable which makes that function, expression equal to 0. And so a 0 is a value of x which makes the polynomial or the function or the expression equal to 0. In every case here, you will find that 2 is a 0 of these expressions or functions. You'll need to take my word for it. If I substitute 2 for x in each case, I will get 0. If you want to try, do it yourself. So let's get down to the next definition of roots. We need to then define what is an equation. So an equation will look like this. I'll have x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x minus 10, and then I will make it equal to 0. On the other hand, I might have written this equation like this: 3x cubed 2x squared minus 3x, and then I put is equal to 10. Okay, I just moved the 10 to the other side. But what's important with an equation is that it has an equal. I could go further and write x cubed plus 2x squared, but this time I will write it's equal to 3x plus 10. I'm just moving the equal sign around. I could continue doing this, but the whole point of this is that it has to have an equal sign. And in this case, we say that 2 is a root. So a root is really a solution to the equation. And so we might say that possibly 3 is a 0 of something like x squared minus 5x plus 6, because I've just written an expression for you. But we could also say that 3 is a root, but then we would say of x squared minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. That's the distinction. Now, I must say that you might find in many texts that these two are frequently interchangeable. But it is good worth knowing exactly what is the definition of both of them. and why sometimes a book will say what is the root and sometimes the book will say what are the zeros. Now the whole point of finding zeros or roots is to find out where that function or graph has x-intercept. That means where does it cut through the x-axis. Now this leads us to the second subject of factors, because finding zeros or roots of polynomials requires that you change these polynomials into a product of linear factors. For instance, a quadratic will be a product of 2 linear factors. A cubic will be a product of 3 linear factors, and so on. I will attempt to show you factors in the next video. So I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like my videos, because that will help me a lot. And the next video will be on factors.